When 4 are 1, they make a team. But 1 from 10, you come again? It's like some kind of fever dream. And this brings us to our today's topic, Clam Blitz. And the quote that I've just read out, beautiful as always, pretty much sums up how not most of us, but quite a lot of us felt like or still feel like when engaging this ranked mode. And this is also the reason why I went ahead and asked one of the biggest Splatoon communities or places where people from the community hang out, Reddit. You've probably seen a bunch of videos or tweets made about the Reddit community, but they're not that bad. Obviously, there are a lot of trolls running around, there are a lot of stubborn casuals in here, but if you don't provoke any any unfortunate events, or if you're not looking for the next beef, the next bash, then you can have good exchanges. So I made a post asking the people on here about their experiences, their thoughts on Clam Blitz, what makes the mode so special and what they personally struggle with, and how they might try to engage this. So we'll go over the replies on here, and maybe there are points that I can add on to, maybe explain some more details on how the mode is intended or how it should be played, so that maybe after watching this, some of you have a better understanding and a better idea on how to engage Clam Blitz, as we might have it in a few weeks on Splatoon 3 again. So that would give you some more time to improve it and have your fresh new start in the new game. So stop the never-ending intro and let's just read this. A deleted user said, I think what makes Clam Blitz so hard to pick up on is that it demands a very difficult mindset from the one you develop in ranked. Tower control, Rainmaker, and Splat zones all revolve around a single objective that you're constantly defending or attacking. This objective has a location on the map. It might move as the game develops, but there's always somewhere to go where most of the battling should happen. The first thing most people do when a round opens is rush towards the objective. In most maps, certain areas get neglected in ranked because they're just too far from the objective. That's true, I completely agree to that. But Clam Blitz doesn't have this dynamic at all. It has an objective that's essentially scattered across the entire map. Gather clams. It requires a lot more forethought, awareness, and communication than the other modes, because anyone, anywhere, at any given time might suddenly pop up with a power clam. You need to know when to spread out, while also keeping a close eye on your enemies, and need to know when to focus in. I still 100% agree on this. That's a good text. That was what I was talking about. I started to enjoy Clam Blitz a lot more when I changed my mindset to something more strategic. I'm not very good at strategy, but I forced myself to approach the game a lot more slowly and to observe the state of the map a lot more closely. Being a support player, I looked for all the slightly less trodden avenues of travel that would allow me to move back and forth as needed. I kept an eye out for choke points on the way to the goal, figured out the best ways to defend our basket, and paid close attention to enemy deaths so I could notice an opening for a push and react quickly. Clam Blitz requires a lot of situational awareness, something that I'm notoriously bad at, and I actually enjoy it a lot now that I've become more familiar with it. And this is great. I enjoy reading this. Like, he pointed out the struggles that he has. He explained what differs Clam Blitz from the other ranked modes, that you don't have a fixed objective that you have to solely focus on, and rather have a good overview over the entire map, both your opponents and the enemy's positions, and told us what he started with, but he has been working on it and that he sees improvement in himself or herself. And this is great. This is great. Splatnoob also left a comment. Will said, Clam Blitz is my favorite mode. It's also my lowest rank because it's difficult to play well, but so rewarding when you do. This is also true. Like, Clam Blitz rewards is the best mode to reward good team play. If you feel like you're winning like by a lot in Clam Blitz, you're sure to say that you have good teammates with you. Next up, Dumo31. Oh, it became a meme to hate clams. Now people don't put effort into it. Yeah, that's kind of true. Clams in itself is easy. You're playing a game of map control with a pushing element. It is the most complete mode in Splatoon. If people would stop complaining about it and start learning to play it better, more people would realize just how good the mode is. More of a offensive attitude in here, or at least it feels like it reading through the lines here. But yeah, that's true. A lot of the players play Clam Blitz, they lose, and then they blame the mode for it, that it's bad, that you can't do it, it's stupid, it's too complex. And after doing this, they're done. They think, okay, I did my part of complaining, and now it's everyone else's task to do something about it. But no, you are the one in charge to actually get behind the mode and understand what it's about. And yeah, it's about map control and then getting the clams and pushes together to to tell it the easiest way. Like, this is very short version of how the game mode works, but we'll have some comments to read through before we sum things up. Generally strange. Clam makes for a great league mode, but a terrible solo queue mode. Oh, good point, good point. It depends much more heavily on planning and strategy, and doesn't have as much mode-dependent mechanical skill, like dodging enemy fire on the tower and Rainmaker movement, that could carry you through the match. This makes the game's lack of effective communication and much more apparent and detrimental. Okay, my English skills actually end here. I have no idea what this means, sorry. Exhibit A. No combination of this way and Booyah. If gonna get little Timmy to understand that he should really be using his baller to help his team score at the basket, not to lose a one-on-one with the object Shredder Hydra. It's also the only mode where the objective isn't immediately visible, only the goal. It feels like an eternity between the start of the match and someone doing something you can work with. This is coming from a E-leader, by the way, more on the supportive side of things. TLDR, Clam has been done dirty by being put in the game with no effective communication. I like the comments so far a lot. We have another good point, making the difference between a team environment, like playing League Clam Blitz or in scrims or tournament, in a set place where you have 3 other players that you can communicate with, in the best case via Discord or any form of communication, where you can talk to your mates and tell them, yo, I need help on left, I have 8 clams, give me 2 more and I can score. And on the other side, there's solo queue, where you're left with this way in Booyah, as mentioned here. And go organize a good push by just using this way in Booyah. So solo queue relies on at least 2 players having a good idea on how to play the mode. And this is where especially competitive players have a good point, saying that Clam Blitz solo queue is so incredibly bad, because you can't win the mode all by yourself. this he generally Strange also mentioned it, like in Rainmaker you can push the Rainmaker by yourself and win the game. Tower control, you can just stand on the tower and do a little funny jumpy thing and get the final points. But in Clam Blitz, you won't get a big clam, a push and follow up and secure the enemy basket just by yourself against 4 opposing players. This is not possible. You won't get that. So there needs to be better options. Like, this is something that we don't have too much influence on, besides better learning the mode and getting an image of when I should push, when I should be with my team, or when I have the option to actually try doing something on my own that would create an opening for the entire team, like a flank offering a jump push. But don't do them, please. Just no. If you're not a known player, just don't do jump pushes, okay? So don't follow your this way teammates into the action. And this is more on the game side, offering more communication options than 2 button presses on your controller. Next up, Kambachas. I love Clam Blitz, but it's so annoying that people don't do obvious things, and it's like, we're in S rank, let's play the game correctly. We're not bashing on the rank, but I want to still talk about it. That this comment comes from an S rank player. So this problem of people not understanding and not trying to understand the mode is a consistent problem throughout almost all ranks. I get that it's not that important what happens from the range of C- to, let's say, the A ranks. But with S, S+, and X, the typical ranks that mean something around, yo, you're quite good at the game, you have a good understanding, you know what it's about. But seeing all the tweets, the complaints, the screenshots, seeing it in videos and streams over and over again, it kind of hurts. And what concerns me even more, that this is a problem in S rank, but it still continues on throughout 9 S+ ranks and then makes it to X, and it stays in X because you don't get dropped down. But solo queue system is something on its own. I made a video about it, I'll link it down below if you're interested. Talking also about how to fix it. So this right here is my wake-up call to tell you, if you have friends in other ranks or even in the same rank and they don't have as much knowledge about the game as you have, don't be shy to tell them or give them hints, because everyone enjoys being better at a game. It can mean a lot just knowing a small trick that transfers to you playing more consistent and having better results in actual matches. And it helps everyone if we're just getting better. We're so far behind JP. Come on, EU, stand up. Then JLX2321 is the only mode that actually needs teamwork. Hard agree. Soul Schism replied, that's B rank talk. It's actually A rank, S+ rank, and X rank talk as well, because people don't seem to learn that much. Then Fishkin. Clams is actually a really well designed mode, but most people don't understand how the mechanics work, and at this point, like Dumo31 said, it's become a bit of a meme to hate it and put no effort into actually learn the game out. It also suffers from a lack of communication. There are only two buttons to communicate with. Yes, I know help exists, but most of the time you're too late to save your teammates and you're already dead. And most players don't listen to them, or if they do, they can't possibly know what you want them to do. There are several ways to take it this way. We need Clam Blitz specific buttons like pass a clam or throw the football. After all, there's still two more buttons on the D-pad we haven't used yet. Yeah, agreed. Clams can be fun, but only in a setting where you can talk with your teammates like in a tournament. Plus, it doesn't help that most of the people playing this game are under 10. Okay, we went from, a good feedback to, bashing the scene again, but we're not here to care about this. Yeah, we have two more buttons on our controller that we could theoretically use for more communication options. It could also be mode specific. This is a good idea that I haven't thought about yet, but it's a good point. It's a really good point. And on to Yugi line. Unlike in the other ranked modes, Clam Blitz doesn't have a clear objective line. Zones and Tower have this, and even Rainmaker has a goal where you're most freely to move to. I feel like Clam Blitz is actually more similar to Tower 4 than even Zones. We have to establish our turf and move it more and more towards the enemy spawn area. The addition comes with bringing clams with us and not only split enemies and defend our position. There's also another good comment that gives us a quick hint towards what Clam Blitz is. It combines so many different aspects in smaller goals that you have to complete in order to reach the actual goal of scoring clams. You have to get the paint. You have to have a way to your opposing goal or the basket. You have to have kills. You can't just... It is possible, but you won't get that far when just going for a score. So you need the kills and then keep those positions. It's not just a one-time going in and you've won, like in Rainmaker. If you have a good push down to the low 20s or even below that, you're fine to just defend the game afterwards, and in Clam Blitz you'll get overwhelmed eventually with that. Then Fishy Cakes also replied, "The two things I hate is how long-lasting it is and the teamwork involved. In most other ranks, at some point one team will have an advantage to make it extremely hard for the other team to win. And Tower of the Tower is already at the other team's base. It's gonna be hard to get it back out. If in Splash Zones, the team has already got most of the time and you're still at 100, it's basically over. That's not true. It's called the Zones Phenomenon. If you'll get stopped at 1, you'll lose the game. That's a fact. There's still that variable with Clam Blitz, but it is a lot smaller. For the entire game, even if someone is winning, both sides have an equal chance to get clams and win. One team can be on the verge of losing, drag it on until overtime and win. Most matches I play last over the last second of the countdown. Then there's teamwork, which the most painstaking part. You have 2 communication buttons, this way and Booyah, and you have to have at least one person to collect 10 clams and go to the enemy's base. You have to figure out how to communicate with your team that's filled with mostly kids with 2 words you can say while trying to avoid being splatted by the other team. It's too strategic for a shooter game, which is why I think people hate it so much. There are different aspects. The communication options, again, this is one of the biggest topics and problems with this mode, and you can't argue that away. The thing is, the mode isn't comebackable, and I feel like it's the hardest one to come back when you're getting held back. Then Now besides Tower is stupid. Fix the whole special charge thing. Bashing kids again. Yeah, it can be long lasting and very hard to play. But this is also a problem that is caused by certain maps that were designed before Clam Blitz came in, and then you have to somehow figure out how to play a so strategic and complex mode that features different smaller objectives, but it's played on a map that was first made to feature 3 game modes that have a set and fixed objective. So on certain maps you'll just stall for 4 minutes and then have one push to decide it all, or you're stuck in an 10-minute overtime game of Clam Blitz and it's a total mess and the worst possible thing to happen in a match. And I don't agree with them saying that it shouldn't be in a shooter game. The bigger problem is that there are no fast and good resources to understand and learn the game mode. Something that hasn't been mentioned yet, but maybe in the final comment here. But I still want to shortly talk about it. There are explanations in the game telling you about the game modes, what is the objective, and different ways to play it, but they're so short and they're made from just the basic understandings of the game mode and the game itself, rather than experienced players that have almost like studied everything that is happening here. So you won't get far by just reading through that. You don't have this, okay, I have to do this and that and I win. This is not gonna happen just reading through what the game gives you. And a lot of the players, especially the casual players, they don't feel like improving, they're not forced to improve. And what should their motivation be in order to go on YouTube and then type in Clam Blitz guide or something like this? So it's not gonna happen. And even though the resources are there, they're external and apart from the game and Nintendo. So it's in some ways still too hard to get the knowledge to the players that need them. And them still getting into the highest rank of the game without knowledge is another topic. So it's a problem that has multiple roots. And again, if you have friends, family, whatever, and they struggle, feel free to share good, structured, and well thought through guides or explain them the game. You have the resources. You watch me, and if you watch me, I'm safe to say you know ProChera and other top players. Show them what we do. Explain them the game through our eyes and give our knowledge to them. That's why we're here. That's why I am here. And if you have more questions, feel free to DM me on Twitter, on Discord. Ask in the comments if you need to. I'll be happy to answer and help you out. And on to the final comment below my post here on Reddit. Fatty Reddit. Clam Blitz is by far the easiest to win if you know what you're doing. That's a good point. It's the mode where you can most overcome a weak player on your team if you know what you're doing. It's the most fun, hands down. The rest are more strategy, monotone, single focus grinds in comparison. It's by far the mode where individual glamour play can be effective, but that doesn't mean you should do that. Clam has 2 firm facts. as firm as gravity in this universe. Okay. When your basket is open, you must run to your basket and play defense. End of story. If you don't do this, you lose. For every single frame until it closed. If you try to set up your next score, shock the enemy area, or anything else, you've lost. If you try to go soft on rule 1, only a couple seconds left, I'll head off, you've lost the game. Second, you must not get killed at the end of a scoring run. That's the basic core of Clam and what separates players who easily win and sail through the ranks from those who lose and get frustrated. That's all it is. It's that simple. Good points here. And note that, obviously, Clam is entirely about defense. Any idiot can score on any map. Just wait until your team is up one man, then walk over and score. Brand new players think offense in Clam, and they lose every game until they realize it's a pure defense game. So those are too simple. That's all it is, rules. Then we come to how to play Clam. It couldn't be easier. You control the middle, so that's that. All the greatest Splatoon solo queue highlights and moments are defense Clam. I don't know, I don't want to watch through these. The single most fun thing in Splatoon is slide football splat. Like throwing a football at a player so he has his feet covered and then you shoot at him. It's funny. A good Clam tip is accept that the enemy is gonna open the basket, but do not let them score big. Adopting that can make a huge increase in your play. Another tip, in my opinion only, when you're scoring, kills are more important than clams, but that's just me. Good addition. Finally, just trivia. Okay, yeah. It's about quick maths. I get that. A long comment, and they brought up new aspects on the defense and offensive aspects, and I wouldn't fully agree on the it's only about defense thing. You're map dependent, of course. You'll have a hard time scoring on some, so it's some way defensive, stally, but you can still try to establish pressure and presence by taking offensive positions and trying to hold them and force the enemy far back into their areas. And these are good points here that are more detailed on how to act step by step when you're either defending or pushing. Kills are important, of course, but there should be role-dependent focuses. Of course, the Slayer is likely to have 0 to 4 clams when pushing, and there are two ways you can go. You either pass your clams to your nearest teammate or leave them at the basket and go pushing, or you throw them quickly in and then advance by pushing further. Slayers or midlines in some cases are the ones securing the space that you have. They're the ones looking for further kills or pushing back and keeping back the opponents so your teammates can score easily without disturbance. The other ones, however, need to get clams in. If you pass in one big clam and two smalls, you're not guaranteed to win, and this is your goal. You want to have focused, good build and prepared pushes. You want your pushes to have scores about or above 40 points and not just have these single chips over and over again, because it can work and it will work in certain games, but that's not the rule. If you want to consistently win, you need, in the best case, one big push or two pushes that are going into that direction of having 40-50 points scored with each time. And yeah, I like the comments on here. Overall, I agree to most of them. Very well said that the mode is very, very complex, and it's about different aspects. You have to learn the game mode, you have to understand what it's about. Then we have something with outside of our influence, the game leaving us with 2 communication buttons when there's so much to organize within those 5 minutes that can't possibly be done with just an arrow pointing up and down on our D-pad. And then a general thing, awareness. This is something that is very important for this mode specific. You have to have an eye out for all other 7 players in the game. You have to look out for paint control, where your teammates are, what your teammates are in their respective weapon, and what role they should play. And obviously in a set team environment, it's easier. It makes it easier for everyone to perform better. But just going for the solo mechanic, this is a hard mode, but it's not unbeatable. And we see that every time that you have 2 or 3 teammates working together even without communication. It's about fulfilling your role, understanding what your job is, and if you do your job, it's easier for everyone else to do their job. So Clam Blitz has solo queue combined with a team queue in some way, and it's pretty much that. You have to understand the smaller objectives of painting up, collecting the clams, finding an opening, or if you're in the good position to create the opening for your team, and then go full on in and score those big pushes. And if you writing down a script to full on explain Clam Blitz in every detail is a bit too much, and honestly too late now. I think it would be wasted to do that before Splatoon 3 comes out, as we don't know how the mode will actually look like then. But if you have certain questions, like for specific scenarios or map modes, what your role on your respective main weapon is, go ahead and ask me in the comments down below, or DM me on Discord, MasterRS #4321, and I'll try to help you out. I'm here for you. I'm here to spread my knowledge with you, as I've spent way too much time on this game. And this shall mark the end of this quick overview on Clam Blitz, a smaller kind of discussion with the forum on Reddit. If you're watching this and you typed a comment below this, hey, you made it into the video just as promised. Thanks for all the replies and everything that will be said below this video. I'm looking forward to conversations and smaller discussions. Make sure to like and subscribe, share the video with everyone, and we'll see each other in a new video. Bye bye.